Most people work hard, push themselves and grind every day, yet they never seem to break through. They stay stuck, wondering why success always feels out of reach. But then there are the few, the ones who rise fast, who dominate, who achieve more in a year than others do in a lifetime. What's their secret? They don't just work hard, they work smart. They understand one simple, powerful principle that governs everything: the 80/20 rule. They know that only 20% of their actions create 80% of their results. Instead of wasting time on things that don't matter, they focus on the small, high-impact moves that drive massive success. This rule applies to every area of life: your health, your relationships, your wealth, your learning, your happiness. And today, I'm going to show you exactly how to use it to level up in ways you never imagined. When you master the 80/20 rule, you stop chasing success, it starts chasing you. Let's get into it. Success follows focus. Identify the 20% that drives 80% of results. Success isn't about working harder, it's about working smarter. Most people believe that putting in more hours, grinding endlessly, and doing everything themselves is the path to achievement. But in reality, not all efforts are created equal. The 80/20 rule, also known as the Pareto principle, tells us that 80% of our results come from just 20% of our actions. That means the majority of what we do is actually producing very little return, while a small portion of our efforts is driving almost all of our success. Look at any high achiever in business, sports, or life, and you'll see that they are laser focused on the 20% that truly matters. They don't waste time on distractions, low-impact tasks, or things that don't push them forward. They ask themselves every single day, what is the one thing I can do right now that will create the biggest impact? Think about entrepreneurs who build multi-million-dollar companies. They don't spend their days answering every email, sitting in endless meetings, or trying to do everything themselves. Instead, they focus on the high-leverage activities, building systems, making key decisions, networking with the right people, and driving innovation. They delegate, automate, and eliminate anything that doesn't contribute to their primary goal. Athletes follow this principle too. They don't train every muscle equally. They focus on the specific movements and exercises that give them the biggest edge in their sport. A basketball player doesn't need to train like a bodybuilder. He needs to perfect his shooting, agility, and endurance. A sprinter doesn't need to lift heavy weights all day. He needs explosive speed training. In your personal life, this principle applies just as much. If you want to improve your relationships, you don't need to spend time with everyone you've ever met. You need to invest in the 20% of people who truly matter: your family, your closest friends, and the mentors who help you grow. Success follows focus, but focus requires clarity. You must take a step back and analyze where your time, energy, and resources are going. Track your progress, measure your results, and identify the tasks that are truly moving the needle forward. If you spend 10 hours a day working, but only 2 of those hours are creating real progress, then you need to double down on those 2 hours and cut the rest. This principle also applies to learning. Instead of trying to master every skill, focus on the few that give you the biggest return. If you're in sales, master persuasion. If you're in leadership, master communication. If you're in business, master problem solving and decision making. The top 1% in any industry are not great at everything. They are world-class at a few things that matter most. Another key factor is eliminating distractions. The modern world is full of noise. Social media, emails, notifications, and endless options pulling you in different directions. If you're not careful, you'll spend all your time reacting instead of creating. High achievers don't let their days get hijacked by low-value activities. They guard their focus ruthlessly. The difference between being busy and being productive comes down to this rule. Many people stay busy all day long, checking things off their to-do lists, feeling like they're making progress, but in reality, they're just spinning their wheels. Productivity isn't about doing more, it's about doing the right things with intensity and purpose. If you want exponential growth, you must apply the 80/20 rule consistently. Take a look at your business, career, fitness, relationships, and personal development. Identify the 20% of actions, people, or habits that are generating 80% of your success. Then double, triple, or even 10x your efforts in those areas. The people who win in life are not the ones doing more, they are the ones doing less, but better. Health is mostly nutrition, 80% eating, 20% exercising. When most people think about getting in shape, they immediately picture hitting the gym, lifting weights, running on a treadmill, or sweating through intense workouts. But here's the truth. Your health and physique are determined far more by what you eat than how much you exercise. The 80/20 rule applies directly to fitness. 80% of your results come from nutrition, while only 20% come from exercise. You can work out for hours every day, but if your diet is full of processed junk, sugar, and empty calories, you will not see the results you want. On the flip side, if you clean up your diet, eat whole, nutrient-dense foods, and control your portions, you can achieve a lean, strong, and healthy body, even with minimal exercise. Think about elite athletes, bodybuilders, or fitness models. Their workouts are intense, no doubt, but what really separates them is their discipline in nutrition. They understand that the body is built in the kitchen. Every calorie, every macronutrient, every meal choice plays a role in shaping their physique. Your body is a reflection of your eating habits. If you fuel it with high-quality proteins, healthy fats, fiber-rich vegetables, and clean carbohydrates, you will have energy, mental clarity, and physical strength. But if you constantly consume fast food, sugary drinks, and processed snacks, you'll feel sluggish, bloated, and tired no matter how much you work out. One of the biggest myths is that you can out-exercise a bad diet. You can't. If you burn 500 calories in the gym, but then eat a 1,000 calorie junk meal, you're not making progress. You're going backward. That's why the food choices you make throughout the day matter far more than the hour you spend at the gym. Let's break it down even further. If your goal is to lose weight, nutrition is everything. Weight loss happens when you consume fewer calories than you burn. You could run 5 miles a day, but if you're still overeating, you won't lose weight. However, if you simply adjust your diet to be in a calorie deficit without changing anything else, you will see results. Muscle building follows the same principle. People think they need to lift heavier and train longer, but muscle growth is fueled by protein intake and proper nutrition. Without enough protein and essential nutrients, your body cannot recover and build muscle efficiently, no matter how hard you train. Hydration is another overlooked factor. Your body is made up of 60% water, and every cell, tissue, and organ depends on it. Drinking enough water daily supports digestion, metabolism, and overall health. If you're dehydrated, your body struggles to function optimally, and no amount of exercise can compensate for that. Eating mindfully also plays a role. Many people eat based on emotions, stress, boredom, or cravings, rather than actual hunger. Learning to listen to your body and eat when you're truly hungry instead of when you're bored can transform your health. It's not about following a restrictive diet or counting every calorie obsessively. The key is consistency, making clean eating a lifestyle, not a temporary fix. The 80/20 rule applies here too. 80% of your diet should be whole, unprocessed foods, and 20% can be flexible. That means you don't have to give up your favorite treats entirely. You just need to prioritize nutrient-dense meals the majority of the time. Fitness is a tool to enhance health, not the foundation of it. The foundation is what you put into your body every single day. If you take care of your nutrition, you'll naturally feel stronger, more energetic, and more capable, whether or not you hit the gym. Communication is listening, 80% listening, 20% speaking. Most people think that great communicators are the ones who talk the most, the ones who have the loudest voice, the most confident words, or the biggest vocabulary, but that's not true. The best communicators in the world understand that communication is not about talking, it's about listening. They know that success in relationships, business, leadership, and influence comes from their ability to listen 80% of the time and speak only 20%. Think about the best leaders, negotiators, and salespeople. They don't dominate conversations. They don't just wait for their turn to talk. They listen. They ask the right questions. They seek to understand before being understood. That's the key to persuasion, connection, and influence. The reason most people fail in communication is that they are too focused on what they're going to say next instead of truly hearing the other person. When you're busy formulating your response while someone else is talking, you're not listening, you're just waiting. And when you're just waiting, you miss the subtle cues, the emotions, the underlying needs that the other person is trying to express. Listening is not just about hearing words, it's about understanding tone, body language, and emotion. Research shows that only 7% of communication is verbal, while 93% comes from nonverbal cues like tone of voice and body language. That means if you're not fully engaged in listening, you're missing most of what's really being communicated. Great communicators know how to pause. They leave space for silence. They don't rush to fill every gap with words. Silence makes people open up. It gives them time to think. And when people feel truly heard, they trust you more, they respect you more, they become more open to your ideas and influence. In business, this principle is critical. Salespeople who listen more than they talk close more deals. They focus on the customer's problems instead of pushing their own agenda. They listen to objections, they ask clarifying questions, and they address the actual needs of the person in front of them. That's how they create real value. In leadership, the best leaders are not the ones who command and dictate. They are the ones who listen to their team, understand their challenges, and provide guidance based on what they learn. They build loyalty, trust, and a culture where people feel valued because they know their voices matter. In relationships, whether personal or professional, listening is the foundation of trust. People don't want advice all the time. They don't want quick fixes. They want to be heard. They want to feel like their emotions and experiences are acknowledged. When you listen without interrupting, without judging, and without rushing to respond, you create a connection that words alone can never build. One of the biggest mistakes people make in communication is assuming they already know what the other person is going to say. They tune out. They finish sentences for them. They assume they understand before actually hearing them out. But when you listen with the intent to learn something new, instead of just waiting for your turn to speak, you start to see conversations differently. You start to hear things that most people miss. If you want to master this skill, practice active listening. That means putting your phone down, maintaining eye contact, nodding, summarizing what you hear, and asking deeper questions. It means focusing fully on the speaker rather than thinking about what you'll say next. It means creating a space where the other person feels comfortable enough to share what's really on their mind. Listening is a superpower. It builds influence, creates deeper relationships, and allows you to learn more than any book or course ever could. The more you listen, the more you understand. And the more you understand, the more powerful your words become when you do speak. Action beats dreaming. 80% doing, 20% planning. Most people spend their lives stuck in dream mode. They think, they plan, they visualize, they set goals, but they never take massive action. They believe they need to know everything before they start. They wait for the perfect moment, the perfect opportunity, the perfect strategy. But perfection is an illusion. The real winners in life are the ones who act. Success is 80% action and only 20% planning. That means doing more and thinking less. It means learning on the way, adjusting as you go, and figuring things out while you're in motion. Think about how many people say they want to start a business, write a book, get in shape, or improve their lives, but never actually do anything about it. They talk about it for years, but nothing changes. Why? Because they're stuck in the planning phase. They feel like they need more knowledge, more time, more preparation. But the truth is, clarity comes from action, not thought. The best entrepreneurs don't sit around making 100-page business plans before launching. They start small, test, iterate, and adjust. They learn from real-world experience, not just theory. The best athletes don't wait until they feel ready. They train, they compete, they push forward even when conditions aren't perfect. The best leaders don't wait for the right moment. They take decisive action and make things happen. There's a psychological reason why people get stuck in over-planning and overthinking. It feels safe. When you're researching, strategizing, and making lists, you feel like you're being productive, but in reality, you're just avoiding the discomfort of taking real action, because action means risk. It means potential failure. It means stepping outside your comfort zone. But here's the truth. You will fail at first. You will make mistakes. You will look foolish. You will doubt yourself. And that's exactly why most people never start. They fear failure so much that they prefer to stay in the illusion of preparation rather than stepping into the reality of execution. The people who achieve extraordinary success are the ones who take action before they feel ready. They start the business without knowing every detail. They launch the podcast without waiting for perfect equipment. They write the book before they have the perfect outline. They know that action creates momentum, and momentum creates results. This applies to every area of life. If you want to get fit, don't spend weeks researching the perfect workout plan. Just start moving. If you want to improve your finances, don't wait for the perfect investment strategy. Just start saving and learning as you go. If you want to build confidence, don't wait until you feel confident. Act confidently first, and the feeling will follow. Most breakthroughs come from doing, not thinking. When you take action, you learn faster than you ever could from books or courses. You see what works, what doesn't, and you adapt. That's why real-world experience is 100x more valuable than theory. Some people spend years preparing to take action while others take action and adjust along the way. Guess who wins? The ones who move, the ones who execute. the ones who take the leap even when it's uncomfortable. Massive action doesn't mean reckless action. It doesn't mean you don't think at all. It means you plan just enough to get started, and then you adjust based on real results. The difference between successful people and those who stay stuck is that successful people understand that imperfect action is always better than perfect inaction. The world doesn't reward those who dream. It rewards those who execute, those who show up every day and do the work, those who take risks, fail, learn, and keep moving forward. Because at the end of the day, ideas don't change lives, action does. Relationships thrive on giving, 80% giving, 20% receiving. Most people approach relationships with a mindset of what they can get rather than what they can give. They measure relationships based on how others treat them, what they receive, and whether their needs are being met. But the truth is, the strongest, most fulfilling relationships are built on giving first. When you focus 80% on giving, whether it's love, attention, time, or support, you create deep connections that naturally lead to stronger bonds. People remember how you make them feel, not what you take from them. The greatest relationships are not transactional. They are built on generosity. When you make someone feel valued, appreciated, and understood, you build a foundation of trust and loyalty. Whether it's a romantic relationship, a friendship, or a business partnership, the principle is the same. Give without expectation, and you'll receive more in return. The mistake most people make is waiting for others to give first. They expect their partner to show love before they do. They wait for a friend to reach out before making an effort. But relationships are like a bank account. You have to deposit value before you can withdraw. The more you invest, the more trust, love, and respect you build. Giving doesn't mean losing yourself or becoming a people pleaser. It means understanding that real fulfillment comes from contribution. It's about being the kind of person who lifts others up, who brings energy and positivity, who supports and encourages. When you shift your mindset to giving 80% and expecting only 20%, you naturally attract deeper, more meaningful relationships. Successful people in business, networking, and leadership understand this deeply. The best leaders give their team more support, more recognition, and more encouragement than they demand. The best networkers focus on adding value rather than just making connections for their own benefit. The best friends and partners make the other person feel seen and heard without keeping score. Giving also means listening more than speaking, offering help without being asked, and showing up for people when they need you the most. It means putting effort into the little things. Remembering birthdays, checking in, offering a kind word when someone is struggling. People don't forget those who genuinely care. In every relationship, the moment you shift from a mindset of what can I give to how can I give, everything changes. Giving creates reciprocity. The more you give, the more others naturally want to give back. That's why the strongest relationships are built on generosity, not expectation. Wealth is built on habits. 80% habits, 20% math. Most people think wealth is about numbers, income, investments, interest rates, and complex financial strategies, but the truth is 80% of wealth building comes down to habits, not numbers. It's not about how much money you make. It's about how you manage, save, invest, and grow what you have. The biggest financial mistake people make is assuming that more money is the solution. They think that if they just earned more, they'd be rich. But without the right habits, more money only magnifies bad financial behavior. That's why so many lottery winners and high-earning athletes end up broke, because they never built the habits that sustain wealth. Financial success starts with discipline, the habit of saving before spending, the habit of tracking expenses, the habit of investing consistently even in small amounts, the habit of living below your means no matter your income level. Wealthy people don't just rely on making more money, they develop the habits that allow them to keep and grow it. Spending habits determine financial freedom more than income ever will. If you make $100,000 a year but spend $110,000, you're broke. But if you make $50,000 and consistently save and invest, you're on the path to wealth. The difference isn't in earnings, it's in financial habits. Most people also underestimate the power of compound growth. Small, consistent actions over time lead to massive results. Investing a little each month, cutting unnecessary expenses, and staying disciplined with money management creates exponential returns over years. Wealth isn't built overnight, it's a long-term game of habits. Another critical habit is learning about money. Wealthy people constantly educate themselves on financial literacy. They read books, study investing, and seek out mentors. They don't just leave their financial future to chance. They take control by mastering the principles of money. The 80/20 rule applies here because the few key financial habits you develop determine the majority of your wealth building success. If you focus on mastering the core behaviors, saving, investing, budgeting, and spending wisely, you'll create financial freedom regardless of your income level. Happiness comes from purpose. 80% purpose, 20% fun. Most people chase happiness in the form of temporary pleasure. They seek entertainment, distractions, vacations, or material possessions, believing that these things will bring them lasting joy. But true fulfillment doesn't come from fleeting moments of fun. It comes from living with purpose. Happiness is 80% purpose and only 20% fun. The reason so many people feel empty, even when they have all the comforts they thought they wanted, is that they lack a deeper sense of meaning. Fun and pleasure can make you feel good in the moment, but they don't create long-term satisfaction. That's why people who focus only on fun often feel restless, always chasing the next high, the next adventure, the next exciting experience, only to find themselves unfulfilled when the moment passes. Purpose, on the other hand, is what gives life direction. It's what makes you wake up in the morning with energy and drive. It's the feeling that what you do matters, that you're contributing to something greater than yourself. People who have a strong sense of purpose, whether it's through their work, their family, their mission, or their passion, experience deeper, more sustainable happiness. The most successful and fulfilled people structure their lives around their purpose first and pleasure second. They don't ignore fun. They enjoy life. They celebrate. They take breaks. But they understand that lasting joy comes from creating, building, and serving. They know that giving brings more fulfillment than consuming. When your life is driven by purpose, even hard work feels meaningful. Even challenges become part of the journey. You don't need constant entertainment to feel happy because you have an internal source of fulfillment. That's why some of the happiest people are not the ones who have the most leisure time, but the ones who wake up every day knowing they are working towards something that matters. If you focus 80% of your energy on living with purpose, building something meaningful, helping others, growing yourself, you'll experience a level of happiness that no amount of external fun can ever provide. The 20% of fun will feel even better because it's a reward, not a distraction. Growth requires persistence. 80% persistence, 20% ideas. Most people think that success comes from having the best ideas, the most creativity, or the smartest strategies. But ideas alone are worthless without relentless execution. Growth, whether in business, skills, mindset, or life, depends 80% on persistence and only 20% on ideas. The world is full of people with great ideas who never do anything with them. They dream, they talk, they plan, but they don't follow through. They give up when things get hard. They quit when they don't see results fast enough. The difference between those who succeed and those who don't isn't intelligence or talent. It's the ability to keep going when others stop. Persistence means pushing through when motivation fades. It means staying committed even when progress feels slow. It means taking action, failing, learning, adjusting, and continuing forward no matter what. Every successful person has faced setbacks, failures, and doubts, but they refuse to let those obstacles stop them. Most breakthroughs don't come from the first attempt. They come from the 10th, the 50th, the 100th attempt. The best athletes, entrepreneurs, artists, and leaders are not necessarily the most gifted. They are the ones who refused to quit. They understand that consistency compounds. They know that small, repeated actions lead to massive results over time. Ideas are important, but they are useless without persistence. Execution is everything. Many people spend too much time searching for the perfect strategy, the best opportunity, the fastest way to success, but the real secret is simply refusing to give up. The people who win are the ones who keep showing up day after day, long after others have stopped. This is it. This is the key to everything. The difference between struggling and thriving, between surviving and succeeding. The 80/20 rule isn't just a concept, it's the formula for mastering every area of life. Success is 80% persistence, 20% ideas. Happiness is 80% purpose, 20% fun. Wealth is 80% habits, 20% math. Growth is 80% action, 20% planning. And if you focus on the vital 20% that creates 80% of your results, you will dominate in ways you never imagined. The world doesn't reward dreamers, It rewards executors. It rewards those who listen, who give, who persist, who take action, who understand that success is not about doing everything. It's about doing the right things. Now go out there, apply these principles, and make it happen. Because at the end of the day, your success is in your hands. You control your focus. You control your habits. You control your future. So don't waste another second. Take massive action now. And if you want more breakthroughs, strategies, and unstoppable momentum, make sure you subscribe to Tony Robbins Track. This is your time. Let's go.